Top 5 Sympathetic Supervillains. Number 5. Prometheus. Everyone knows the story of Batman, the boy who watched his parents gunned down by a low-life criminal, and declared his lifelong battle against the forces of crime, to make sure no one ever had to suffer through what he had. Prometheus is an inverted case. The son of two criminal hippies, Prometheus, we never learn his real name, traveled the country with his parents for years until law enforcement agents cornered the three of them, and shot his parents down in front of his eyes. Prometheus's hair turned white due to the trauma, and declared that he would spend his life battling the forces of justice. While Prometheus doesn't have the most prolific record in supervillain history, he did come close to defeating the JLA once, and then later appeared in the Awful Cry for Justice miniseries. His story serves as a reflection of the why. In superhero stories, Prometheus views the forces of justice as an oppressor, who rained an iron fist down on people like his parents, who in his eyes, weren't doing anything wrong. It is very much a case of nature versus nurture, and perhaps in an alternate reality, Prometheus could have been a great hero. Number 4. Ozymandias. From the panels of Alan Moore's acclaimed graphic novel on the nature of the superhero itself, Adrian Veidt is a manipulator to put Svengali to shame. Once a member of the Watchmen, Veidt was known as Ozymandias, and was considered to be the smartest man in the world. The novel itself details Veidt's retirement from costumed adventuring like the other members of the team, along with the revelation that the murders that have been occurring were directed by him. At the end of the book, Veidt nukes New York City, in order to unite the world, in the midst of a Cold War, against a false alien menace. While Ozymandias may have more of a superiority complex than a desire to truly do good to the world, it's a deep novel. He is nonetheless, believing that he is doing the right thing. Veidt desires not power, not wealth, but simply peace, and is willing to cross the line to obtain it. And, while his plan is certainly full of holes for someone who claims to be world's smartest man, Veidt is a reflection of what someone with that much power could do in the real world, all in the name of peace and justice. It's difficult to explain, but read Watchmen and you'll see that nothing is black and white. Number 3. The Lizard. Dr. Kurt Connors began as Peter Parker's friend and fellow scientist, until experimenting with lizard DNA in an attempt to regrow his amputated arm had a horrible side effect. Connors became the Lizard, and repeated an endless pattern of trying to keep his alternate personality under control, losing it, and having Spider-Man develop a temporary cure. There is little room to indict on Connors' predicament, as he is very much a victim of his own sensible ambitions. He is Spider-Man's friend, and has helped him scientifically on numerous occasions, cursed with a violent alter ego he can't control. He's lost his humanity, his career, his family, all over an attempt at regaining something he lost. The Joker once said that all it takes to drive a person insane is one bad day. Kurt Connors has been living with the results of that day for his entire continuity. Number 2. Mr. Freeze. Don't let Arnold's performance as this great villain in Joel Schumacher's Batman and Robin fool you. Mr. Freeze is a tragic villain if there ever was one. He began as a gimmick-based villain during the Silver Age of comics. It wasn't until Paul Dini, co-creator of Batman, the animated series, imagined a new form for the character, that he truly got a chance to shine. In the episode Heart of Ice, Batman faces Mr. Freeze for the first time, when Freeze launched ice-based attacks on divisions of a Gotham-based company. Batman then discovered that Freeze began life as Dr. Victor Fries, a scientist who specialized in cryogenics. Fries' wife, Nora, had contracted a terminal disease, and Fries, using money he had embezzled from a science experiment the company had hired him for, cryogenically froze her so that he could search for a cure while she waited. After going over budget, the CEO discovers Fry's embezzlement and pulls the plug on Nora, leaving her to die from her illness. When Fries tries to stop him, He gets knocked into a bunch of chemicals, which leave him in a state where his body cannot survive out of sub-zero temperatures, hence the freeze suit. Heart of Ice went on to win an Emmy and has had its story adapted into mainstream Batman continuity. Now, Mr. Freeze is the tragic villain in Batman's rogues gallery, always working alone and wanting to spread cold and despair onto all those he encounters, especially the man who ruined his chance for revenge against those who killed his wife, Batman. Number 1. Bizarro. Depending on who you are talking to, Bizarro is either an imperfect clone of Superman, or a reversed version of Superman from another world. The one thing that is consistent is that Bizarro is the 10-year-old with issues in DC's supervillain lineup. Bizarro's intelligence is that of someone under 10, with all the powers of Superman, and spends his time either being used by other, smarter supervillains, Lex Luthor, the Joker, etc., or just getting angry and fighting Superman. But, at heart, Bizarro just wants to be like Superman, albeit in his own, inverted way. He can't control his powers, he's too dumb to truly discern right from wrong, and uses his powers as an outlet for anger and frustration that he himself can't fully understand. It's almost like Bizarro was constructed as a massive manipulation tool for readers' sympathies,